I didn't know this could really happen. That night began just like any other. I never imagined that my life was about to take such an unexpected turn. Rufus, my stepson, had always been a bit distant. One evening Rufus came home with one of his close friends. Chinedu. I had seen Chinedu before, maybe 2 or 3 times, but we had never really talked. He was tall with long legs that made him seem even taller, and he had this quiet way about him. He did laugh loudly like Rufus, or make a lot of noise. Instead he moved around as if he was thinking deeply, like there was a lot going on in his mind that he didn't share with everyone. Even though Chinedu didn't say much, there was something about him that made you notice him right away. It wasn't just his height or the way he dressed, it was the way he looked at things, slow and thoughtful, as if he could see more than what was in front of him. He had this calmness that was different from most of Rufus's friends, who were always loud and full of energy. Chinedu, on the other hand, seemed older than his age, like he had seen and understood more than he let on. When he entered the house, he gave me a small nod. Nothing too friendly but respectful. It was the kind of look that made me feel like he saw everything around him and understood things without needing to ask too many questions. I wondered what Rufus saw in Chinedu, why they were such close friends, but I didn't ask. Something about Chinedu made me curious though, and I couldn't help but feel that there was more to him than met the eye. That night, after Rufus and Chinedu had their fun, I went to bed as usual. I didn't expect anything out of the ordinary to happen. The house was quiet, and I thought it would stay that way until morning. I was already half asleep, my eyes feeling heavy, when I heard a soft knock on my bedroom door. It wasn't loud, just a gentle tap, so at first I thought it was my imagination or maybe the wind. I stayed still, thinking it was nothing and that whoever it was would go away, but then I heard the door creak open slowly. The sound of the door made me sit up a little. I turned my head and saw Chinedu standing there alone. The hallway light behind him made his shadow stretch long across the floor. His face was calm, but there was something about his expression that made me feel uneasy, like something wasn't quite right. He wasn't smiling, and he didn't say anything at first. He just stood there looking at me, and for a moment the room felt colder, as if something had changed. Chinedu's eyes were calm, but there was a strange look on his face that I couldn't quite understand. My heart started beating a little faster, and I felt the air in the room shift in a way that made me uneasy. I wasn't sure why he had come to my room so late. I didn't know if something had happened or if he needed help. My thoughts raced, and I started feeling a strange tension in the air. I sat up in bed waiting for him to say something, wondering why he was standing there at this hour. Is everything okay? I asked, my voice soft but a little shaky. I wasn't expecting anyone, especially not Chinedu. He didn't answer right away. He took a step into the room, still quiet, before finally speaking. I couldn't sleep, he said in a calm voice, one that didn't match the feeling in the air. I thought maybe you couldn't either. His words made me blink in confusion. Chinedu couldn't sleep. Why had he come to me? Where was Rufus? My heart began to race a little, but I still couldn't understand why he was standing in my doorway. It didn't make sense. I felt like something was off, but I didn't know what it was. I should have sent him away right then, told him to go back to where he belonged, but for some reason I didn't. I could feel the weight of the silence between us. It was heavy, almost pressing down on me. I cleared my throat and tried to sound normal. You should go back to bed, I said, hoping he would listen and leave, but Chinedu didn't move. He just stood there looking at me with that calm expression. I thought we could talk, he said, his voice still calm, as if this was the most normal thing in the world. My chest tightened. Talk at this hour? I glanced at the clock. It was past midnight. My mind raced, trying to figure out what he wanted to talk about. Rufus was his friend, not me. Why was Chinedu coming to me? My instincts told me something was wrong, but I couldn't quite Put my finger on it, I think it's too late to talk, I said, trying to sound firm. But not unkind, we can talk tomorrow. You really should go. Chinedu stayed where he was, just standing there watching me closely. His eyes didn't blink much and it felt like he was waiting for something I couldn't understand. The silence between us grew louder and I started feeling more and more uncomfortable. It was as if the room was getting smaller even though nothing had changed. The air around me felt heavier, like I was trapped in a place I didn't want to be. I shifted in my bed, pulling the blanket closer to me, and that's when I realized I hadn't locked the door. I wished I had. The thought of that unlocked door made my chest tighten even more. Why hadn't I locked it? I never imagined I would need to, but now with Chinedu standing there it felt like a mistake. Something about his presence didn't feel right. I couldn't explain it, but there was a strange feeling that crept over me like an invisible weight pressing down. It wasn't just the way he was standing there or the fact that he was in my room at this late hour. It was more than that. It was the way his eyes never left me, as if he was searching for something in my face, something I didn't know how to give. My heart started beating faster and my mind raced, trying to figure out why I felt this way. Chinedu was Rufus's friend, someone I had seen before, someone who had never made me feel like this, but now everything seemed different. The quiet in the room felt strange, and the longer Chinedu stayed, the more I wanted him to leave, but Chinedu didn't leave. Instead, he took a small step into the room and I could feel my heart beating faster. His eyes had a look in them, something I couldn't understand, something that made me feel uneasy. The way he was staring at me was unlike before. It felt different, almost like he wanted to say something, but the words didn't come out. The air in the room suddenly felt heavy, like there wasn't enough space to breathe. The room itself seemed to grow smaller with every second that passed. My chest tightened as I watched him take that step, and I didn't know what to do. I had never felt this kind of tension before, and it scared me. I thought about telling him to leave again, but my voice didn't come out right away. It was like I was frozen, stuck in that moment, unsure of what would happen next. Should I call for help? Should I get out of bed? My mind raced with questions, but nothing made sense. Before I could say anything more, Chinedu took another step and then, without warning, sat down on the edge of my bed. A shiver ran down my spine. His presence was unsettling, and it was clear something was off. My mind raced and I didn't know what to say. Suddenly Rufus appeared in the doorway. I thought he would be angry or surprised to find Chinedu sitting on my bed at such a late hour, but to my shock he didn't seem worried at all. Instead of asking Chinedu what he was doing or why he was in my room, Rufus walked in with a relaxed look on his face. He calmly sat down on the other side of the bed, like it was completely normal for him to be there. His expression was unreadable, as if he already knew something that I didn't. It felt strange, like he was acting as if nothing unusual was happening. I looked back and forth between them, my heart racing in my chest. The room felt heavy with silence, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong. Why was Chinedu here, and why didn't Rufus care? I wanted to ask them both what was going on, but my words seemed stuck in my throat. The tension hung in the air like a thick fog, making it hard to think clearly. What is going on? I whispered, my voice barely loud enough to hear. I wanted answers, but at the same time I was afraid of what they might say. The room felt even smaller now, and the tension in the air was so thick it was hard to breathe. Neither of them spoke right away. They just sat there, Chinedu on one side and Rufus on the other, as if they were waiting for something to happen. Rufus and Chinedu exchanged a look that made my heart race. It was as if they shared a secret, a kind of understanding that I didn't know anything about. I felt completely left out, like I was watching a movie but didn't know the story. My mind started racing with thoughts I didn't want to I think we all know Rufus," said quietly, his voice almost too calm. It was strange to hear him speak like that, so serious and controlled. I stared at him, my heart pounding. This wasn't the Rufus I knew, the fun, carefree guy who loved to joke around. I wanted to understand what was happening, but everything felt confusing and twisted, like I was stuck in a strange dream that I couldn't wake up from. What was Chinedu doing in my room at this hour? Why was Rufus acting so different? I felt a knot tightening in my stomach, and I wished I could just escape the room and run away from all these strange feelings. Rufus took a deep breath, and I could see that he was nervous. "You know," he said slowly, "we've always kept this a secret, but the truth is, my friends and I really admire you. We've talked about it a lot, and tonight they gave me the courage to finally tell you how we feel." I blinked in surprise, not sure I understood. Admired me? My heart raced as I tried to process what he was saying. Was he really telling me that he and his friends liked me? I felt a mix of confusion and excitement bubbling up inside me. Rufus looked at me with those serious eyes, and I could tell he meant every word. It felt strange to hear him say it out loud. I wondered what it meant for us and what would happen next. Would everything change between us? I wanted to ask so many questions, but my voice seemed to disappear before I could understand what was happening. Both Rufus and Chinedu moved closer to me. Their expressions were serious, and I could see that they really wanted to talk. Rufus looked straight into my eyes and said, "We've always felt something strange when we see you. It's like our hearts start racing, and we can't help but feel this connection to you." Chinedu nodded, adding, It's hard to explain, but when you're around we feel this warmth in our bodies. It's like something exciting is happening inside us. We just wanted to know if you feel it too." I sat there, my mind spinning with what they were saying. They were telling me that they felt something special for me, and it made my heart pound even faster. I never imagined that they could feel this way, and I wondered if I felt the same excitement too. It was a lot to take in, and I wasn't sure how to respond. Then, to my shock, both Rufus and Chinedu started to undress right in front of me. I couldn't believe my eyes. My mouth dropped open as I thought, who gave them the courage to do this? They slowly took off their shirts and pants, revealing themselves completely naked. They stood there, looking at me with serious faces as if nothing was strange about it. "We have nothing to hide from you," Rufus said, his voice steady and calm. My heart raced, and I felt my cheeks get warm. I was confused and surprised. Why would they choose to show me this? I wondered. My mind was spinning with questions, and I felt like I was in a dream that didn't make any sense. The room was silent, except for the sound of my breathing, which felt loud in my ears. I looked at both of them, trying to understand what was happening. Rufus had always been my stepson, and Chinedu was his close friend. I thought I knew them well, but now everything felt different. "Are you guys serious?" I finally managed to ask, my voice barely above a whisper. They both nodded, their eyes never leaving mine. It felt like they were waiting for something, maybe for me to say something or to react in a certain way. I could feel my heart thumping in my chest, and I wasn't sure what to do next. "Why now?" I asked, trying to make sense of everything. "Why are you showing me this?" Chinedu stepped a little closer, his expression softening. "We admire you, and we want to be honest about our feelings," he said. "It's not just about what you see, it's about how we feel inside." As I listened to him, I felt a mix of emotions. Part of me wanted to tell them to put their clothes back on, but another part of me was curious. What did they mean by feelings? I had never thought of them in that way before. Rufus took a deep breath and said, "We thought you should know the truth. It's hard to keep secrets, especially when we care about someone." I could see their body eyes clearly, and I noticed that both of them were very excited. It was surprising to see them like this, and my own body began to feel strange. I didn't know why I was reacting this way, but my heart was racing and I felt a mix of confusion and curiosity. Suddenly Rufus and Chinedu exchanged quick glances and I could tell they were both nervous but excited then. Rufus spoke up. "We planned this night so we could all have fun together," he said. His voice a bit shaky. Chinedu smiled a little, trying to reassure me. "We thought it would be a night to remember. Something special," he said, but I wasn't sure if I felt comfortable with this idea. They looked at each other again and I could see them sharing some kind of secret that I wasn't part of. The atmosphere in the room felt electric, like something big was about to happen, and I didn't know if I was ready for it. Rufus came closer and sat down and I could see his entire body. He said, "Come on, don't pretend as if you don't like it. Let's do this." His private part touched me and he said, "Come enjoy it." He made me feel it and it was smooth and warm. Before I knew it, he was slowly removing the blanket from me. As I watched, my body began to feel different. It was as if a warm wave of relaxation washed over me. I didn't know why, but I felt ready for something new and exciting. It was like Rufus and his friend had planned everything perfectly, making it hard for me to say no. I could feel my heart racing with curiosity and a little voice in my head wondered what might happen next. I couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and nervousness, wondering what they wanted to share with me. It was a moment filled with possibilities and my imagination started to run wild. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing heart, eager to see where this unexpected evening would lead. As the blanket slowly slipped away from me, I felt a rush of warmth spread through my body. My heart began to race and I could sense something special was about to happen. Then unexpectedly I felt a gentle kiss on my lips. It was soft and sweet, sending butterflies fluttering in my stomach. I had never experienced anything like this before. The kiss felt like a doorway opening to a new world full of warmth and curiosity. I could hardly believe what was happening and my mind raced with excitement. The moment felt magical, as if time had stopped just for us. I knew that this was a special connection, one I would remember for a long time. That night they didn't let me sleep. They encouraged and motivated me, saying it would be fun if we all slept together. I could feel the excitement in the air, but after that first kiss I made up my mind. I told them both firmly that I didn't want to go any further, even though I felt a flutter of emotions and my body was curious and wanted more. I stood my ground. "The kiss is okay," I said, my voice steady, "but I can't go beyond that." They tried to persuade me, their words sweet and gentle, but I knew what I was comfortable with. I appreciated their kindness and attention, but I was clear in my decision. It was a moment filled with tension and understanding, and I felt proud for listening to my own feelings. After a long while, Rufus and Chinedu decided it was time to leave the room. They had planned for the night to be full of fun and excitement, but it seemed their plan hadn't completely worked out. The only thing we shared was that one kiss. I could see the disappointment on their faces and it made me feel a little sad. They looked like they had hoped for something more, but I knew in my heart that I had made the right choice. As they stood up to leave, I took a moment to gather my thoughts. I knew they were feeling let down, but I also felt proud of myself for sticking to my decision. I had listened to my feelings, and that was important. "Really sorry if you're disappointed," I said softly, "but I just don't want to go further than that." They both nodded, understanding my feelings even if they didn't agree. Rufus gave me a reassuring smile and Chinedu looked thoughtful. "We get it," Rufus said. "We just wanted to have a good time with you." I appreciated their honesty, but I knew I had to stand firm. My choice was about what felt right for me, and that was more important than trying to please anyone else. As they walked out of the room, I felt a mix of emotions: relief, sadness, and a little bit of hope for the future. Maybe one day we could all just be friends and enjoy each Others company without any pressure.